Chapter 1014 is now officially out, and I just want to give my second thoughts on the chapter because I felt there wasn't a lot of stuff that I focused on to the extent I wanted to in the chapter. There will definitely be a lot of theorizing and thoughts I had on moments. I didn't really focus on that much in the last video. Like, I know I didn't even mention that Yamato and Perospero were in the last chapter at all, and I felt like some moments like that I feel needed more, some spotlight. Before we get into the content of this video, I just want to let you know, if you do enjoy my content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help me in the long run, and we're actually getting pretty close to 100 subs, so any support is greatly appreciated. And with that, I hope you enjoy the video. First things first, I wanted to highlight some moments I felt I didn't really highlight to the extent I should have originally while I read through the chapter. When I first read through the fight scene that Kaido had with Luffy, I felt as though Kaido was just mocking Luffy because he says, what was it again? Gomu Gomu no? I felt as though Kaido was looking down on Luffy's technique and calling it childish. However, I could see this interpreted in a very different way after rereading through the chapter. After seeing that this possible mocking of Luffy could be seen in a different way, I realized that it was possible that Kaido could be mocking him for failing an attack instead of all of his attacks in general. All the clashes between Luffy and Kaido were unnamed attacks at the start of the fight. However, it's possible that Luffy could have been trying to combine his Conqueror's Haki with his Gomu Gomu no attacks, and that just failed tremendously because Luffy's body couldn't handle it, or Luffy just didn't have the prowess to do it at this time. I felt that this gave the scene an entire second layer, and I feel like this will definitely be important later on when Luffy's trying to channel his Conqueror's Haki into his Gomu Gomu no techniques, because this would prove how powerful Luffy has really become throughout this entire arc. The scene was so just interesting for the entirety of it. I absolutely love the idea that Kaido has some relation to Joy Boy, who's this figure we've only heard about in like thousands and thousands of years in the past. Having Kaido somehow know somewhat intimate knowledge of who exactly Joy Boy is just raises a ton of questions in my mind. How exactly did Kaido learn this knowledge? I saw some people suggesting that Kaido learned about it before getting to Onigashima and setting stuff up, but after the Rocks Pirates crew. And I fully do not believe this at all. I think that he has to have some connection with Rocks. So Rocks knows about Joy Boy for some reason. And I think now that Joy Boy is being mentioned in the story by a present day character, it truly shows how far we're getting to the end of One Piece itself. Joy Boy has always been intrinsically linked to the past, to the Void Century, to so much. And now that he's being mentioned right now, like, just in the present time, not even related to a poneglyph, it shows we're really getting to the highest peak of the world itself. All of this stuff about Joy Boy and what possibly could have happened in the past is just, it has me so ecstatic for what could happen in Kaido's flashback. It has to happen eventually. I know, because Oda has done amazing flashbacks for both Doflamingo and Big Mom, so I'm feeling Kaido really has a lot of potential with this flashback. Now I'm going to discuss some points I feel I didn't highlight enough or really at all in my last video on chapter 1014. Immediately after this scene with Kaido, where he says he's going to go towards Momonosuke, we see that Yamato is heading up towards the roof. And I feel like Oda has been doing this pretty often at this point, where Yamato is trying to head towards his father and kind of confront him and be like fighting him in some form, but Kaido just seems to constantly slip through the cracks and get away from it. And I felt this wasn't necessarily that important to say. I just was like, oh, another Yamato scene, it's not going to lead anywhere in this chapter right now, and it might not in some chapters to come. I'm hoping that Yamato and Kaido have that confrontation in Act 4. I feel like that's bound to happen, but for right now, I just felt it's not that necessary, and it was probably there just to show what Yamato's up to at the moment. I think the same holds true for Perospero's involvement in this chapter. It was cool that Perospero is now working with the Beast Pirates again, but honestly, I felt as though his value added to this chapter was really unnecessary. It was just there to show like Chopper is taking a lot of damage, not just from Queen. and the rest of the Beast Pirates, but also Sparrow. So he's being attacked on all fronts, essentially. Something really cool in this section I didn't talk about that much, though, was how Queen's Zoan form seems to be also cybernetic as well. I remember when he was attacking Chopper and like grabbing him with his mouth, his neck extended as though there were multiple sections that could be almost detached or kind of used as its own sort of weapon itself. We've already seen that Queen has weapons inside of his mouth, so I'm interested to see how much further his cybernetics have been kind of transmuted into the Zoan form. I don't think I need to discuss anything else about the end section of the chapter, which is the Kinemon and Kanjuro scene. That was a really climactic, intense scene, especially with the ending where Kaido comes and seemingly kills Kinemon. So that will not be discussed nearly as much, but I do want to get my thoughts out more about my predictions on what could happen in the next chapter. So if I'm going to believe how this track is going, I think that Kaido is going to go straight for the rest of the Scabbards and seemingly not focus on anyone else except the Scabbards and Momonosuke. I think that Kaido's killing the Scabbards one by one. By killing, I mean hopefully killing, because if Kinemon and Kiku and Kanjuro and Ashura aren't dead by this point, I'm going to be pretty miffed, to say the least. The scene that I did want to focus on is much earlier in the chapter, where Momonosuke, after reading Odin's journal, suddenly gets a really sharp pain in his head, very similar to the experience he had on Zou interacting with Zunisha. However, Momonosuke doesn't recognize the voice he's talking to. He says, "What is that? Who are you?" I'm unsure what to believe it could be at this moment, because I personally don't believe it's Zunisha, but I do think that this is definitely going to be something that will play into Act 4 very, very significantly. See, I've always been one to believe that the 3 ancient weapons are all people. As soon as Shirahoshi was revealed to be an ancient weapon, I was like, oh, they all have to be people now. So I'm wondering, is this possibly the moment where Oda hints to us or even reveals to us that Momonosuke is actually an ancient weapon as well? I think that would be really, really great. I am insanely curious on what this could possibly be that Momonosuke is referring to, who is actually communicating with him. I saw some ideas that it could be, this one I feel like definitely was a joke, but Tsurume from Fisherman Island, the Kraken that Luffy befriended way at the start of this entire New World section of the story. And I saw some other ones that Wano kind of looks like a turtle, so it might be a turtle. I'm not going to go into that one because there's actually a lot of information saying that is possibly true, so that is just way over my comfort zone at the moment for discussing. I am very eager to see if this leads Momonosuke to having some kind of significant revelation about the world itself. Maybe who he's communicating with is telling him some important information. Now, this is the most crackpot theory out of all of them, but because Kaido referred to Joy Boy earlier in this chapter, I've seen people saying that Momonosuke is actually talking to Joy Boy, or more likely, Joy Boy is talking to Momonosuke in kind of like a Star Wars Force Ghost type of thing. And I just am like, when I hear that theory, I'm in total disbelief, because One Piece is really wacky. One Piece is a wacky series, but Force Hockey Ghosts might not be the thing. I wouldn't be shocked if it was, honestly. And I could understand it with a slight theory I've had for a while about what Pluton exactly could be. But if this is true, that would mean Momonosuke is that Pluton that I assume has that ability. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the chapter. I personally, as I said in my last video on this chapter, I really, really enjoyed it. And I feel like this is one of the greatest climactic moments in Wano so far. I'm really eager to see the chapter next week as well, because I just feel like we are going to ramp up the action even further, and having this tragedy just like crush the main characters more and more until eventually we get to see Kaido essentially win by actually reaching Wano, since Onigashima is now over Wano, which is very, very interesting to me, because Kaido could just basically end this operation at any time by getting rid of his flame clouds, but he's not at the moment. The ball is in Kaido's court, and he is able to do basically anything he wants, and I'm very excited to see what actions he takes next. But that's all my thoughts for the moment. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, the good old YouTube spiel. And if you did enjoy this video, let me know. I've never really made a kind of secondary thoughts thing because I felt like the last chapter, I didn't really need to do that. But this one, I feel like I kind of missed out on some stuff, and I wanted to discuss things further. Like the Momo scene, I feel like was a tragedy that I did not discuss. More than the tragedy of Wano. No. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and have a good one. So for this post-production thoughts, I just wanted to get 2 points out to the public. Point 1 is I'm trying to get a video cycle going. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do at the moment, but I know when there's a chapter, or if there's not a chapter. If there's not a chapter, we'll do like a prediction video, and for the chapter we will do a Friday video every week, so that's confirmed. And if there's not a chapter, like if there's a break, there we'll do a prediction video. And throughout the week interspersed, I'm trying to have specific days where I post videos, but at this moment I haven't really thought of it yet. And the other thing I wanted to discuss was the name change of this channel. I decided to make it, instead of Kev Dog, I did Kev D Og, and I was like, oh okay, One Piece, Kev D. But then I was like, Og sounds stupid, so I guess it's still dog, but I capitalized the Og and made it Kev D O G. So it's still Kev Dog, but now it's One Piece, and it doesn't have Og, which is a weird sounding thing. So Kev DOG, I guess, is the name of this channel. I don't really know. If you guys like it, let me know. And speaking of the video cycle thing I mentioned earlier, if you have any video topics you want me to discuss, let me know. Because, I don't know, I haven't been struggling coming up with video topics, but I'm curious what you all think I should talk about. And with that, that's the end of my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good one.